Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here for the introduction to the Coaching Playbook. We will begin in just a moment. A reminder that this meeting is recorded. That includes the chat, so please be aware as you join the meeting that your chat is live. You won't have your camera or microphone. If you want to ask a question during the Q&A portion, you can use the raise your hand button. It's up on your top bar or on your bar next to the people function. We'll get started at 7:04, and I will give the little pregame speech before we get into the coaching playbook. So give us a couple minutes, let a few of the stragglers in, and we'll go from there. All right, everyone, we'll get started. If a few people join us late, that's no problem. As I mentioned earlier, and we'll mention again, this is being recorded, and we will send out the video on the 20th of January. So everybody who can't make it tonight and everybody who does attend tonight will receive a copy of this webinar. Welcome. My name is Chris Knoblock. I'm the Public Relations Officer and Sports Broadcaster for Baseball Softball UK. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this introduction to the Coaching Playbook. Today's webinar is the start of our unveiling of this coaching playbook, but it's really the culmination of an 18-month process that has seen us take on a lot of feedback, us being BSUK, but also the British Softball Federation and the British Baseball Federation. It's been a great piece of collaborative work, and it's taken on a lot of feedback from coaches who went through the old coach license, as well as people who were at the Coach Summit in 2022, 2023, and 2024. So we've taken a lot of that feedback and incorporated it into this coaching pathway, or shall I say coaching playbook. It's been a very collaborative process, and I really want to emphasize that this coaching playbook is a result of the work between all three entities that are responsible for baseball and softball, both of its disciplines here in the United Kingdom. So we're very, very excited to unveil this process and to get your feedback on it, which will help us determine how we do the full unveiling, which will come in June 2025. I'd like to introduce before I introduce my colleagues, excuse me, we will have a question and answer session at the end of this webinar. You can put your questions in the chat at any time, although we won't interrupt the presentation to take questions. You can also send me questions personally, either to my email or directly through the Teams chat. I believe you can send direct messages, and I'm happy to ask them on your behalf. As this is recorded, just do be aware that your questions will be recorded as well. If you'd like to ask your question personally, use the hand raise function, which is on your Teams control bar. Raise your hand, and when it is your turn, your camera and microphone will be activated. Now I'd like to introduce my colleagues. I'm very excited for you to meet two colleagues who are new to the sports of baseball and softball, and two veterans who have been around for a while and have done a great job in incorporating that previous knowledge with this new coaching pathway. So first we have Orla Murphy, who is our club and coach officer. We have Dr. Alice Hunter, who is the National Teams Officer and a member of the British Softball Federation Board. We have Mike Hayward, who is the former Coaches Commissioner for the British Baseball Federation. And finally, last but certainly not least, we have Aled-Rhys Howell, who is our new head of development here at Baseball Softball UK, and he will introduce the coaching pathway. So without further ado, Aled.
Hi, good evening all. Thank you for joining. This is one of kind of the first webinars in a series of webinars that we're going to host moving forward. We really want to connect with our members and those that are out there delivering the sport. We've got a fair bit to get through tonight. It is a short, but hopefully quite a quick and precise hour. So I'm going to kind of run through it as quickly and as sharply as I can. This is the agenda. So obviously thanks to Chris again for his kind words and the introductions. The plan is to run through the overview of the coaching playbook. Chris has kind of gone through where we were at, and now we're kind of we've developed, we designed, and now we're in a position where we're going to bring it to life. We're going to touch on the coach membership and why, and then as Chris again already mentioned, we're going to do a Q&A towards the end, but it's also an opportunity, to be honest, that where we want to listen, we want to hear your thoughts, what's been good, what's been not so good, what you'd like to have as well in the future, so we can help to shape it. The aim of our team, so the development team, is to support you guys out on the ground, to give you the tools, the resources that you need to make sure you can deliver. So coaching playbook, the objectives. As Chris mentioned, we have gone through a lot of insight from Sport Structures, BBF, BSF. We've liaised with various coaches from both softball and baseball. And this is what we've set out to achieve. So to design a coach development pathway that is accessible, we want to make sure that anybody and everybody across the UK can access not just our coaching qualifications, but any form of coach development. Is age and stage appropriate? We know the environments within both sports are very different. So we want to try and make sure that wherever environment you're coaching in, whether it's youth, whether it's senior, whether it's performance, whether it's talent, we're giving you kind of all the tools you need to be the best coach you can be in that environment. Encourages and rewards lifelong learning. Historically, I've been through a number of coaching qualifications, and even though you get your kind of reward from a coaching qualification, you never get a reward from kind of ongoing CPD and bettering yourself. That's something we want to add. You will see it within the presentation that kind of a key focus behind this is the CPD elements, and we really want to kind of encourage and again reward those that go through the processes to become a better coach. Gives the coaches autonomy over their own learning and environment and development. As I said, with the coaching qualification, you're quite stuck with the route that you go down. A lot of coaches, all coaches coach in various environments. Some might go over a number of environments, some might not, but you've got the opportunity and the choice to select the environment and get the tools that you need to be the best coach in that environment. Recognizes coaches for excelling within their choose and play stage and environment, as I've just said. Seeks to professionalize and value the license and membership. So this is the coach membership. This is vital for us, vital for both baseball and softball that we set this up, and it's right not just for you, but it's right for the sports and the safety of the sports. Creates a community with passion and excitement. Again, we want to make sure that everything that we provide is attractive. We want coaches out there to obviously be the best they can be, and for us to do that, we have to provide as much support as we can. Works with the coaches to share insight and knowledge to achieve success. So this one is quite, for me, quite important that with sports, everybody is within a community, and how we've brought this together isn't kind of just one person's idea. It has been a community of us because we've all got the best for the sports. So everything that we shape from coaching through to either club support or anything moving forward, it's going to be all of us kind of pulling together to make sure that it works. So even though we've kind of pulled together the shape of the coaching playbook, there's still opportunities to kind of chop and change things as we move forward. That's right and fit for purpose for you out there coaching. So this is the athlete journey. For me, this is kind of everything on what our development team kind of structures, what we're going to do moving forward. This is a pretty standard athlete journey throughout sports. baseball and softball, this journey might be slightly different, but this is quite a generic athlete journey. There are different entry points, so it doesn't mean that one person just starts from the first time they pick up a bat, potentially with the first pitch, and carries on through. They might come in at different points. But this is a pretty standard athlete journey. What we want to do within development is make sure that that athlete journey is complete, that all our coaches, so all the workforce, have the correct tools to coach in a specific environment, whether it's youth participation, talent, adult competitive recreational, or performance. All our clubs have the right resources and tools to make sure that throughout that journey, they've got opportunities for players to excel and proceed. And similar then with programs, we look to develop programs to hopefully fulfill that athlete journey. So the best way for me to kind of explain this is almost like a domino effect, where if an athlete comes into that journey and they start to progress through that journey, if we have kind of a domino down or there's a section of this missing, we could potentially lose that person out of the sport or to another sport. So we want to make sure that there's plenty of opportunities there for that athlete to progress through the sport, but we have to make sure that those out there delivering the sport have all the tools and resources and support and the skill set required to make sure that journey continues. So this is the athlete journey. This is how we've shaped our coaching playbook. So this is what your journey would look like to become a coach, and then opening up our kind of coaching CPD. So step one is the introduction to coaching. That at the moment will be an online e-learning course. Step two would be the core coaching qualification, and we'll go in a bit more detail on that a bit later. And that would be kind of the key coaching qualification to make sure that our coaches have a set minimum standards to make sure that they're safe to coach, but have all the skills that are needed to coach. Once you've got that, that will open up the door then to a number of different CPD opportunities. So I mentioned the environments. We've divided down into 4 environments: youth participation, youth talent, adult participation and competitive, then high performance. So you've got the autonomy as a coach to decide what route you want to go down. If you know you're going to be working predominantly with youth participation, right, we're going to provide you with all the tools that you need, all the opportunities to learn the CPD you need to become the best youth participation coach you can be. If you're working in multiple environments, then there's nothing stopping you from going down a youth talent, youth participation, etc., etc. So it is ultimately an open door policy, and you can kind of choose where you want to go that's specific to the environment you coach in. We'll touch on module delivery a bit further on in the presentation. Finally, we'll look to develop a high performance coach program. This is a program, still needs to be developed, but we're going to look to offer a program that supports those coaches who have potentially the skill set and provide them with the opportunity to go on to coach at potentially a higher GB team or Olympic level. So we want to make sure that we use, so the one key thing is that the journey of a coach in the CPD never ends. So even some of our current GB coaches could look to attend this, and we would link them up with experts from various sports or looking to work with kind of UK coaching and some of their programs to make sure that our coaches continue to learn, they want to continue to get better. So to pull all this together, this is our development team. We've got Rich Chesterton, who will be focusing on the introduction to coaching workshop. We've got Orla Murphy, concentrating on the core coach qualification. So Orla will discuss that in a bit more detail later. Will Zucker, who will be coaching on the CPD module content. So will be working very closely with both baseball and softball to set up and help coordinate some of the Elevate masterclasses, clinics, looking to set up webinars, reaching out to specific practitioners who are specialists within various coaching environments. This might be from within the sport, but it might also be externally from lecturers from various universities that we're partnering with. Then you've got myself. I'm currently concentrating on the LMS system and the membership system to support AT, and making sure that there's an integration there. They all work in sync, which hopefully makes the journey for you as a coach even easier. So first stage, or stage 1 within the coaching pathway, would be the Activator Award and the Introduction to Coaching Award. The Introduction to Coaching Award will be kind of the key one that we're going to launch at phase 1. Like I said, this will be an e-learning course, but we will look to produce it in a way where it can be delivered face-to-face through our delivery workforce across the UK. What the aim with the Introduction to Coaching Award is kind of a stepping stone towards the core coach qualification, but it's there to give potentially parents or those working in clubs some of the skill set to make sure that they can assist within coaching sessions. So hopefully it builds up a bit of a workforce within clubs and teams to make sure that it's not reliant on one person. We've got a very simple, a very accessible kind of online course to make sure that it gives them the skill set needed to where they can help on potentially some of the junior sessions or so on. The Activator Award will be slightly different. This is more of a facilitator award where if, for example, you're down the park and you want to get some activity going, whether it's from like a corporate event, this should be kind of the course for you. It will be very engaging. It's making sure we'll be touching on the softer skills behind coaching, but we will give you the skills then to set up kind of the engaging games, how to make it creative, how to make it adaptable to make sure that people are very much engaged. And then we can potentially look at the team finder to get them into a following team. For the next one, I'll pass over to Orla. So Orla will run through the core coach qualification and where we're at with that.
Perfect. Thank you, Aled. Yeah, my name is Orla Murphy. As I said earlier, I'm the club and coach officer, and I'm directly responsible for the core coach qualification within the coaching playbook. So it is stage 2. It follows the introduction to coaching activator course. And it really is, I suppose, the foundation, the launch pad before people go off into their specialized environments like youth and talent and stuff like that Aled was mentioning earlier. We called it the core because we wanted to really, I suppose, capture 4 key areas for us, which is coaching, organization, responsibility, and engagement. And even to look at them a bit more closely, for the coaching side of things, we're really keen on developing the soft skills. It's not just about the technical aspects. It really is about developing the coach holistically as well as, their knowledge content, because it's so much more than that, as you know yourselves. But again, looking to develop the soft skills like communication, empathy, listening, questioning, and creating player-centered strategies. Because obviously we want our players to feel like, part of the team and feel more supported by the coach in that journey along from the player-athlete's journey. Organization, then looking at how you would plan and execute training sessions efficiently, managing resources and time. Moving on to responsibility, quite similarly as well, it's emphasizing the safeguarding and supportive coaching tactics as well at that. And then engagement, so how do you foster player motivation, promote inclusivity in your training sessions, things like that. So it kind of is summarized as well below. It's not just the what to coach. Obviously, it will cover things, the technical skills that we all know, but it definitely delves into more detail in developing those softer skills. Again, communication, inclusivity, leadership, just to name a few. And yeah, as I kind of touched on at the start, the purpose of that then will be equipping coaches with the fundamentals so you can access the different pathways, whatever that is for yourself. So whether it's youth participation, talent development, adult rec, competitive, or performance. I know the first course, the introduction to coaching workshop is likely to be online or in person, where we can set up workshops. This is one that will be a bit more hands-on. It's envisaged, so there will be a blended learning approach, just in terms of trying to make it as accessible, inclusive, and cost-effective as possible. So hoping to put parts online, but also this is where we get into the in-person learning element for the coaches. So it's currently being shaped at the moment. So again, input and feedback and stuff like that is welcome along as it is under development. But that would be the core coaching qualification, unless I missed out anything there, Aled, that would be the core section.
No, I think that's spot on. The aim of this coaching qualification is to make sure that our workforce out there have a set minimum standards of deployment. So it's to do with not only to give you, I guess, all the tools you need to coach, but it runs through kind of all the safety aspects as well to make sure that you're safe to practice coaching. We'll go on to it in a bit more detail later on, but it's a lot to do as well, mapped over with Sport England and SIMSPA. So there are some kind of key requirements that we need to make sure that our qualification maps over with the requirements to make sure that our Our coaches are fit for purpose, but they also have all the tools needed so that they're safe to practice coaching. I guess key area that would come from this is the journey. So in the introduction to coaching, then we've got a core coach qualification. This probably be the biggest question that we'll have from current members who have gone through the coaching qualification. We will recognise prior learning. So those that have got qualifications previously, whether it's a BSUK or a foreign qualification, what we will do, we'll have a look at what the syllabus currently was. We'll map that over to what we're going to be delivering in the future, and we can kind of pick off what is in, what isn't in. If it is kind of a clear mapping, right, we can award you the qualification. If not, we might have to ask individuals to pick up certain elements or certain modules within the qualification, and so then they can progress into the CPD elements. We will make sure that that is accessible as possible. We're not expecting everybody to do the course all over again, but we want to make sure that for example, a lot of the softer skills, the how to coach skills, are mapped over, and everybody has those kind of tools to their advantage. So the coaching playbook, before I go into the module delivery, this will hopefully give you a bit of an idea. So we've got the introduction to coaching, as I've already said. The idea of that is a assistant coach. Then we've got the core coach qualification, which they will be a lead coach. Then that opens up the different environments. Across those different environments, we will obviously provide specific learning that is centered and tailored towards those environments. But a lot of, I guess, the areas or the modules that we're going to look to deliver will be across sport. When it comes to some of the technical and tactical elements within the sport, then we will look to deliver specific delivery towards that sport. So say with fast pitch, right, we'll deliver a specific element towards fast pitch, slow pitch, and baseball. So even though we are taking in the 3 different disciplines, there are going to be elements where it will be specific to that discipline. So we can provide you with the best kind of learning, the best content as we can fit for that discipline. How we're looking to deliver the modules would be in a number of different ways. Like I said at the start, it's all about accessibility. We want to bring learning to you. We don't want to make sure that it's all kind of just in one location and everybody has to travel there. We want to try and take the learning to you. We want to make it accessible. Face-to-face learning is, I would say, probably by far the best form of learning. If we can't achieve that, we are looking at various ways of how we can get that learning across to you. So obviously, we've got the Elevate programs. So we are going to be hosting masterclasses and clinics across the UK. That would be, again, similar to the great masterclass clinic that was hosted in London by Alice and Mike. We will look at combining those with the technical and tactical elements of the sport, but also the softer skills, the kind of the interpersonal, intrapersonal skills behind coaching. Webinars are similar to this. We want to make sure that we set up a number of webinars. Again, these could be from individuals or specialists from within the sport, but we will also reach out to various practitioners from outside the sport to deliver various modules that we're looking to deliver. We've got coach mentoring and observation. So making sure that we provide opportunities for coaches to, I guess, go and observe some of our coaches that we would recommend go and observe, just to pick up a number of tools, a number of tricks from them that they can hopefully take back and implement within their coaching environment. Online learning community, which I'll come on a bit shortly. Digital resources. Again, so we're looking to set up an online learning platform. That would be accessible through the coach membership. On there, we can look to house kind of all resources, anything that we find fit for purpose or that we believe will help our coaches in their specific environments. We will do that. So we have been working very closely with a lot of the current coaches, and they're very keen and very happy to help us start to populate these modules to make sure that we can provide you with as much learning, training opportunities as possible. The beauty of this approach as well, it's kind of a never-ending cycle. I think with coaching qualifications, they tend to just stop, whereas with this, we can continue to provide you with updated knowledge as we go on. We don't have to get through to level 3, level 4. As soon as you've got your core coach qualification, we can continue to provide you with specific knowledge to a specific environment. So the online learning platform that I kind of touched on, this is kind of the setup that we're going to look to deliver. So we'll have 4 various environments. Again, we want to try and make it accessible. So on there, any kind of resource that we believe will help you, whether it's from training drills to just some lesson planning, could be anything, even from some theory-based programs, we can look to add that all into this section. E-learning, we can look to develop some kind of simple courses. Videos, so similar to the webinar, similar to the masterclass that we hosted in London. All that content has been recorded, saved. This can be kind of a one-stop shop now where all our coaches can access all the content that's been saved through the online platform. And then finally, I mentioned it in the previous slide, but a community of practice. So we might have a coach forum. The idea behind a coach forum where it's almost like a safe space for coaches to ask questions based around that environment. So if anybody has a question, it could be, how do I deal with large groups? Other coaches can kind of share their ideas, what they've done before. It's kind of a safe place where anybody can add comments, have conversations based around that single environment. So the entry for the online learning system, so the LMS system, would be through Sport 80. Sport 80 is going to be our kind of key to everything that we do. Moving forward, I'm going to kind of go off topic here, but we are going to have an online learning platform that houses all our learning. So coaching, resources for clubs and teams, schools, and potentially officiating. So having Sport 80, similar to how you've done tonight, it will work in sync with our online learning platform. So, for example, the Introduction to Coaching Qualification or Award, you sign up for it through Sport 80. You'll then get access to the Introduction to Coaching Award. Once you've completed it, that will send a message back to your profile and will automatically show up within your profile. This is similar to the coach membership. So once you've got your coach membership, that will automatically provide you with access to all the online support that we're going to provide. So I did mention coach membership. So if I can welcome Mike into the conversation, please. And Mike's going to go through why a coach membership.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think what we all need to recognize initially is that the environment in which we work in has changed considerably over the last couple of years. Those of you that might be aware of the White Review and the Sheldon Report has highlighted huge sort of inadequacies in some major governing bodies and the way that they've pursued safeguarding, which now has led to all sports kind of reevaluating how they can do things better. And because obviously they've gone through that trauma, we've been able to pick off the back of that and really learn on how we can develop our sport better. Now, we're currently in an environment where things have happened organically, and there are coaches in environments that perhaps don't have the right educations or I suppose the qualifications to lead complicated coaching structures and stuff. So the idea of a coach membership is to start to sort of bolt all of those things down, introduce accountability and oversight, and also help with things like continuous professional development, and ultimately open up avenues for things like clear reporting for any safeguarding issues and other things. And this is going to be a really key part of whether it's the Sport 80 implications through baseball or obviously how softball are going, about how we can communicate all the new coaching parts as we go along. Now, at the moment, nothing has been set in stone about membership costs or anything like that. That is obviously just something down the line. But the key thing is that we all start to get into this idea that it's not good enough for us in our current environments just to sort of coach without protection. We often talk about insurance and how we're covered under the national governing body insurance programs. And there is a little bit of a grey area when it comes to things like coaching people outside your club set and stuff like that. Now, working with the BSUK and obviously the NGBs, we're very keen to most importantly, have it that all our coaches and volunteers are protected and safe from things like prosecution and obviously any legal comeback ultimately. So the coaching membership is one of the big key steps in order to align ourselves with a more professional way of looking. And I think I heard something today which is quite apt, is we should all start looking at things through a lens of safeguarding whenever we're doing things, as opposed to just having a safeguarding officer whose responsibility it is to actually do everything. We have to change our attitudes towards coaching and coaching responsibilities within our community. And I think the coaching membership is a good way to start that, whether it's, as I said, through protections and otherwise.
Thank you, Mike. Excuse me. Thank you, Mike. So, plan that we're looking to introduce for the coach membership is potentially 2 forms of coach membership. I think with what I want you hopefully to understand with the coach membership, it's not just to do, I guess, for the NGB, for the safety of the sport. That is kind of one of the main reasons for the safety of the sport, but we also want to make sure that coaches also get the most out of our coach membership. So, like I said, we are going to look at a number of incentives. The online learning platform and the content that we provide will be one of them, but we will continue to look at various incentives that will hopefully continue to support our coaches moving forward. So we've added, and this is open to conversation that we'll have with BSF and BBF, but we've added 2 kind of coach memberships. So the coach membership, that's our first one, that's the very basic one. The prerequisites for that would be a coach qualification, a DBS, and safeguarding. For the Coach Membership Plus, this would more than likely be targeted towards those that are coaching external from clubs. So they could be kind of doing one-to-one sessions and need an insurance. We will look to provide a coach insurance for that coach. I've put the integration of Sport 80 on the bottom. So with the coach membership, we talk about safety. What we can do through Sport 80 is a number of dependencies. So your coach membership won't be live unless you have a coach qualification, a valid DBS. So it's within, once you've had it, if you've got an expiry date, once it expires, you'll automatically be pulled off the list. Similar with safeguarding, if you've done your safeguarding course and the date expires, then you won't have a valid coach membership. Sorry if that sounds a bit scary, but it's all to do with obviously the safety of the sport. What we will have linked with Sport 80 and on our website is a Find a Coach page. So all our coach memberships or licensed coaches will be on our Find a Coach page. So that will be a live feed. So like I said, if one of the prerequisites drop off and it expires, that coach will be removed from the list until they've updated their DBS or safeguarding. Then it'll automatically be put on the list, back on the list. That is a live feed, so it'll be working day to day. So as soon as one thing drops off, you'll go off the list. We will inform you of when your safeguarding might be coming up, your DBS might be coming up. So it's not as if, right, that's it, you're gone. We will provide you with a number of emails, automated emails through the system to make sure that you're up to speed. SIMSPA, so working through Sport England, they're also going to be looking at a workforce registration. So similar to our Find a Coach page, they're going to be developing one, again, for the safety of the sports for the UK. So any governing body, any sport, even down to kind of personal trainers, they're going to have their own, almost like Find a Coach page, where any registered coach that have all the prerequisites in place will also be on that site. So this isn't just kind of a governing body or a sport that we're trying to implement this. This is being heavily driven by Sport England, and obviously it's not a bad thing, but there will be lots of visual content going out based on not just our Find a Coach page, but also our workforce registration. So we will be working very closely with SIMSPA to make sure that this is correct. So bringing the playbook to life. So these are our next steps. Our aim now is to bring the Coaching Playbook to life. We spoke about it, we've designed it, we've developed. Our plan now, as you know, is to make sure that everything is in place, ready for the launch in June. Leading up to June, we will have frequent communication and updates throughout. We want to make sure that all you guys, all the members are updated. They know what's going on. Feel free to send us questions in. I'll come to that in the next slide, but this is a kind of a two-way thing. It's not just this is what you're going to do. We want to work with our members to make sure that it is fit for purpose. If there's things that you'd like to have, hopefully we can look to bring them in, develop them into the system. Tutor training, obviously we need a delivery workforce. So plans will be in place where we will be providing training for individuals to become part of our delivery workforce. These will be kind of spread across the UK. Like we said, we want to make sure that our courses, everything that we deliver is accessible as possible. So we need to make sure that we've got people on the ground all across the UK that can be there to deliver our courses. And finally, like I said, if you have any questions, please email development@bsuk.com and we will get back to you as soon as we can. We are going to be providing a series of webinars, whether it's to do with coaching, whether it's to do with clubs. We are going to look to get as much opportunity out there to provide learning opportunities. We do have 2 club webinars coming up. We've got Raising Money on the 20th of January at 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And then Engaging Your Community on the 11th of February, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Both of these are delivered by Sport Structures. They will be specific to baseball and softball. It's only open to baseball and softball. If you'd like to sign up, you can use the QR code here, but these are also found on Sport 80, so you can sign up to them in the same vein of how you signed up to this course. And now I'll pass you over to Mike or Alice if they want to add any additional content to the presentation.
I think I've pipped Mike to the post and I'm muting first. Yeah, it's just to say that obviously myself and Mike have been heavily involved in this from the Federation's perspective for a long time now. And to be at this stage now where obviously we've got this playbook with the pathway mapped out for you is really exciting. I know especially in the softball there's been a lot of questions asked about what's happening and when's it going to happen, but actually to be at this stage now, there has been a lot of background work. I think Aled's underplayed a lot of the work that has been done even before Aled came into the picture and Orla as well. We put in an incredible amount of time in terms of working with an external company to analyse the landscapes we had across both sports, to really look at our membership across the sports and to look at that athlete journey that Aled presented of actually going, right, where are people coaching and where do we need to be supporting them? This playbook is really fit for purpose in terms of its structure and for where we want to be able to support across all the formats as well. So yeah, it's just say from me that obviously this is a culmination of a lot of work, and it's obviously it's still, as we said, work in progress, and we appreciate the feedback. But yeah, for that additional context, I don't know if Mike, you wanted to add anything on that one.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's been a long road, but we're getting there, which is great news. And it's better to get it right as opposed to rush it to get it wrong. So, I mean, having Aled on board and Orla in the team, it's been really great to see them come in with their external experiences from other sports and other sporting backgrounds. So they're leading the education in a slightly different way. And what I love about this particularly is the emphasis on the soft skills. For many years, we've seen more of an emphasis of how to do stuff, but not necessarily the skills involved in delivery. And I think there is probably a direct relationship to why we've got maybe not as great as youth system as we'd possibly like, whether that's confidence skills or anything. So I love the idea that we're going to be turning towards more the soft skills and obviously the key technical skills, which are really important and everyone wants to know those, but then to enable to empower coaches to get out there in the community and start growing, especially around youth, which is really important for both of our sports.
Perfect. Thank you both. I'll pass over to Chris.
Thank you very much, everyone. A great presentation, and I think it does speak to the level of collaboration that all 3 organizations are not only represented here, but have been working in the background for a number of months to get this up and off the ground. Excuse me, as someone who has been here for the last 5 years, 6 years with Baseball Softball UK, I have never been as confident as I am that we are headed in the right direction as I am with this coaching playbook, and particularly not only the background work that's gone into it, but the way that this process has gone out to make sure that everybody is aligned and everybody is on side. So that's really something that I think is currently special, but will become much more routine as we start going to the other portions of playing baseball and softball. Thank you to everybody who has put a question in the chat. I will read them off. If you would like to raise your hand, you may do so. That hand raise function is on the black bar where you'll have the leave button for the meeting. Just raise your hand if you'd like to ask a question personally, but otherwise we will go through the questions from the chat. So first question is, can all 4 of the steps be taken by one person? The performance, youth, adult, and the talent steps.
Yes. So as mentioned, the coaches have the autonomy. You can decide if you know the environment that you coach in, you've got the autonomy to go down wherever route you want to. It will, when it comes to the high performance program, there will be an application process. We want to make sure that those that attend that are the right people and where they're at within their journey. Other than that, yes, everybody has the autonomy to go down wherever route that they want to.
Excellent. Is it possible to take coaching courses outside of Great Britain, or for someone who is outside of Great Britain to take the courses if they also have a willingness to travel?
Of course. Yeah, the courses are open to everybody. I said we want to make it accessible. They will be staying more than likely within the UK, so I won't be able to make them accessible for everybody, but yeah, all the courses are open to everybody to attend.
Excellent. What are the requirements for a foreign person or someone from a foreign place to join this coach membership? And I think that question may particularly be around the prerequisites like the DBS as well.
Yeah, that's a good question. So like I said, with the recognition prior learning, if they already have a foreign coaching qualification, what we can do, or what we would ask, is evidence of that coaching qualification. So one, we would need a certificate. One, we would need evidence from the awarding body. So that could be their federation, association. We'd also need information on the syllabus of what's been delivered, so we can make sure that it maps over to the minimum standards of what we require. If not, like I said, they can access our coaching qualification. When it comes to the coach membership, there will be a requirement to go through our safeguarding, a requirement to go through our DBS to make sure that they become a coach member.
Thank you very much, Aled. Just on the DBS check, and I know we had another question, what is the level of DBS that's required? I will answer from a safeguarding standpoint, as I just did the safeguarding course last night. We do the standard DBS at BaseballSoftballUK. If you go through us, you will have the right DBS. So we strongly suggest you do that. Not only that, it's free if you go through us. So please go through BaseballSoftballUK. We are looking at automating that system, so that will be online. But you do need to have a standard level DBS, which we do provide for free. For a foreign-born person or someone who has started their career outside of the United Kingdom, we may at a certain point ask for the DBS equivalent from your country, but we're not at that stage where that is defined yet. That is ongoing depending on interest. So we will work to define that before the full launch of the Coaching Playbook, but there may be a slight additional step. It shouldn't cost you anything extra, and it would just be to make sure that you have a background check from your native country. The challenge with a DBS check is that a DBS check is only good for your time in the United Kingdom. So if you've immigrated here, anything that's happened before that would never be caught by a DBS. So that might be another requirement. Here's a great question. Will the WBSC softball or baseball coach license, how will that transfer into the Coaching Playbook?
That's a good question. Mike might be able to help me out with this one.
Say again.
So how will the WBSC coach license map over to the Coaching Playbook?
I mean, the way I'd look at it is WBSC qualifications are very technically led. So if you look at it from the perspective of the BSUK kind of line now, is going to be more about the soft skills, although there will be technical skills within there. When you look at the youth and the high performance part, it's very much around that. Stuff like USA Baseball and WBSC stuff is very technically sort of education led. That's essentially all they do over there. So those are key sort of additional qualifications which we would always recommend that people do. And I think there's a requirement, if you're a GB coach, for instance, to have certain levels within the WBSC as well in order to play in Europe. So we're never going to stop people doing that, in the same way as the USA Baseball app, which is fantastic for anyone who's starting to get out there, is really good. So look at it as a broad spectrum, and getting those educational parts will only just make you a better coach ultimately. They're similar like a CPD.
Perfect, thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Mike. Which membership will be required? Is it the basic or the plus? You can make fun of my American accent for how I say plus. Is required to coach outside of a club environment?
So it would be the coach membership plus. I think the challenge we've got is obviously policing who's doing what, where they're doing. So it's down to the individual. The coach membership, what they can utilize is the insurance directly through the club. If outside of that, like I said, if you are doing one-to-ones or if you are not in a school environment, then with the coach membership plus, we will look to offer an individual coach membership to cover you on top of that.
Thank you, Aled.
Can I add to
No,
that?
please, Mike.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I think that's a really important distinction to make. For so long, we've been able to just say, yeah, I'm going to coach at the local school or whichever, without really taking in mind any insurance. And you know, if you take Will Linton, good example of a coach who does a lot of work. He has his own insurance specific to him being a coach, which protects him against liability against other things. And I think we all have to start thinking about that. What environment are we in? Who are we coaching? And am I covered if little Timmy twists their ankle and ultimately there's a claim against me? Is my club insurance going to be enough just to do that? So we have to be responsible in safeguarding ourselves and any liability that we might have in the future. And hopefully that's the idea of these coaching memberships, is that's going to cover that. But
Yeah,
we'll cover.
Can I just add?
Dot the i's and cross the t's there.
Yeah, but can I just add? I think a lot of the conversation, I guess, can be as if we're trying to put hurdles in place for individuals, but everything that we're trying to do is to make sure that, obviously, one, we safeguard the sport, but we also safeguard you as the coach as well. So hopefully you don't see it as a hindrance of what we're trying to do, but it's making sure that everyone's safe. And that's the kind of plan behind the coach membership.
Thank you both. I think that's a great point. Really, the coach memberships are designed to protect coaches first and foremost. We don't want our coaches to be exposed should there be a legal issue. If we were doing this in the United States, they would ask for your insurance at the first moment and then ask for your safeguarding second. So it is a focus in other parts of the world. And I think it is a good focus for us to have here in the United Kingdom. Coaching within a club environment. Would you be covered by federation insurance for that, with or without a coach membership?
So I'll leave that to Mike, but for me, before Mike chips in, for me, that's bad practice. Because they should have the three of them in place. They should have all kind of the prerequisites in place. So that would be very bad practice. So where we're going to try and move to is for coaches, obviously we've got a minimum standards of deployment, but we'd also expect that from clubs as well then. So in future, we are looking at minimum standards of deployment to make sure that our coaches or the coaches that are being used by clubs, again, for the safety of the club, for the safety of the coach, for the safety of the participants, they have everything in place. So Mike might have another answer as well.
Yeah, and it's actually just to mirror what you said, really. It's not ideal. Our current situation is that our coaches are covered by that insurance product, which we all subscribe to, and that's been the norm for a little while. But in light of recent events in other sports, it's probably not going to be good enough. Now, we've tested, because we get our insurance through Howdens, and the questions are being asked, and yes, at the moment we're covered for those coaches, so long as they're in their environments, in their clubs, and that's a key thing. And I think as we go through this, it will become clear when that change will happen. So when it comes announced, if you are coaching, then there'll be an expectation that you do the coach membership, whether it's the plus or the not. And obviously that's how you get protected. But in the meanwhile, you don't have to worry, you are protected. It's just about the level of protection at this point. it hasn't been solidly tested, I would also point out. Like, I don't believe there have been any claims around coaching liability. So there's always a little bit of a, I suppose, risk or sort of concern about how bomb-proof that is. So we want to get to a better place. As Aled said, it's not best practice. So that's where we're going to.
I think that's a great point, Mike. And to go back to the White report, we don't want to be the test case, or you as a coach definitely don't want to be the test case that causes them to change how they view insurance, which it could be any sport at this time. So if we do this in advance, then we don't have to worry that we will be that test case that will change the rules as well. We know it's going to change.
And just to add to that, which is really valid, when we went through this whole process of the new pathway design, it was very much about trying to develop a system that was pioneering as opposed to just following the age-old adage of level 1, 2, and 3. We wanted to be ahead of the curve as opposed to reactive to something that was happening to us, similar to what's happened in football, gymnastics, and now swimming. So this has been a very proactive approach of protecting our coaches for the future.
Thank you very much, Mike. We've had one question on when will courses start. Really, the question was, will they start before the 2025 playing season in, let's say, April? And Aled, I think you can talk a little bit about the timeline.
Yeah, so we are looking to launch the coaching playbook in June. So we won't have the courses set up by April, sorry. But leading up to the launch in June, we will have a number of courses, and we will look to set up a number of clinics and masterclasses. So I really want to get to a stage where we can map out what the year for coach development, coach education looks like, so people can kind of start planning ahead. What I do really want to do is, from what I understand previously, all the coaching qualifications kind of took place over the winter season. I want to open that up throughout the whole season. If the availability is there, we want to make sure that we can deliver this throughout the season. And that's not just our coaching qualifications. Hopefully that can be our coach development, any learning opportunities. I don't feel kind of there's a need to just stop the learning process. Let's keep the ball rolling, and we'll hopefully continue to provide more and more learning opportunities for everybody.
Thank you very much. We've had one question on the costs. What I would say about that at this moment is we have not determined the cost of the coach membership just yet. We are, however, determined to make it as minimally impactful as possible. So we will be speaking with a few more stakeholders and discussing how that will work. But we are doing everything within our power to keep the costs down within the necessity of getting the coaching right. So we will announce the costs at some point, but we don't have them just yet, and it will. If you have any suggestions on what incentives would make it a more manageable cost, whatever the cost may be, please do get in touch, because that is also helpful for us to understand. And that's something that particularly we would love to get feedback on.
Can I add to that, Chris?
Please.
So the cost of the coach membership is, again, we've not got the defining kind of what we're going to charge, but there is likely to be a cost, and the reason behind the cost is we want to make sure that we can continue to provide learning opportunities and develop resources that support you guys. With the coaching qualification, with the core coach qualification, again, we've not set a cost to that, but we are looking at, again, we've got blended learning, how many days we're going to look to deliver, but we're just trying to make those courses as sustainable as possible. Sadly, at the moment, there is a cost behind everything. So like we said, we're going to have tutors. There's a cost for our tutor workforce to deliver. There's a cost for venue hire. There's a cost for any kind of resources that we provide, which could be workbooks. So that cost, I'm not saying it mounts up, but just to make you aware that there are costs, and it's not the fact that we're going to put a course out to look to make money. That's not the scope behind our courses. Our courses are there to make sure that we provide you guys with the tools needed to go out to the coach, but we just want to make sure that those courses are sustainable, to make sure that we can continue to run them without any risk of them stopping.
Yeah, can I add to that as well, just very quickly?
Please, Mike.
And I think, well, I came from a cricket background, and I was talking to Aled earlier when we were talking about this. My team at the time, my club, they paid for my membership and they paid for my DBS check, and they did that. And I think that's probably the easiest way around this in the grand scheme of things, especially with baseball clubs. Obviously, we've got fields to look after and other things, and obviously there's a financial environment that we create. But I would recommend that clubs look, if they're asking people to coach, to obviously cover those additional costs, and they're not going to be extravagant by any means, and certainly within averages for other sports as well. It's not going to be a huge expense, and I think that's the way it would be better to look at this, so it's universally split through the clubs financially, as opposed to an individual taking it on unless they really have to because they work outside a club environment.
Yeah, and just to add to that, sorry, Chris, just to add to that, we do recognise that the majority of our coaching workforce are volunteers as well. So hence why we want to try and make it as cheap as possible, but hopefully they do get the support from those who they're delivering for.
Thank you very much. We have just 2 minutes left in our meeting, and we have just 2 questions left, so that's perfect. If you have any further questions, you can email development@bsuk.com. Those questions can be answered. That email address is in the chat as well. You will also receive a copy of this video on the 20th of January, along with everyone else who has asked for that copy of that video. So we will get you a copy of this. Final 2 questions are somewhat related, so I will combine them into one. How will the activator, the intro to coaching course that previously existed, translate into the coaching playbook? Because that's one of the questions about the previous accreditation. And at the same time, we've also had a question, is there a way to either place out by taking an exam or with prior baseball, softball knowledge from taking the coaching courses?
Yeah, so as a activator and in the intro to the course, you can't access a coach membership for that. The main purpose behind the coach membership is having that minimum standards of deployment. Sadly, that minimum standards of deployment won't cross over from our introduction to coaching workshop. It is an online course which potentially will last up to an hour. We are going to look to a face-to-face workshop, which will be 3 hours, but that will not cover that minimum standards of what's needed for a coach to become a coach member. You are there to assist, so you're not leading on a session, you're there to assist the coach. So we will provide you with the skill set needed to be an assistant to that coach or to run an activator. But you will not be a lead coach, so you won't be able to access the coach membership. With the recognition of prior learning, at the moment we've only got one coaching qualification. That one coaching qualification will have an assessment. Like I said previously, any evidence of previous coaching qualifications, we will look at the syllabus so we can map that over to potentially provide you with that core coach qualification. If there's anything missing, we may look at providing you with the online element of like how to coach. You have to complete that before potentially then becoming a coach membership. This is a conversation that we're going to have between the 3 organizations to make sure that we're all happy with the decision moving forward. Again, we're not trying to put hurdles in place, but we want to make sure that if we recognize somebody as a coach, they have those minimum standards. So we have to make sure that we test that and we assess that.
Thank you very much, Alan. We've had one more question come in quickly, and I think it's a good one to end on, which is, do you expect the membership will need to be renewed over set time periods? The answer to that is yes, solely based on the DBS check. Your DBS will expire. So that's not up to us. Every few years, you will need a new DBS check. We do actually wish that they were annual, but every year you will need one. And if you're on the update service, I believe it's every 4 years, you will need a brand new one. With regards to the membership, Aled, you can take that one.
Yeah, so with the membership, I guess this is solely down to where we go with our DBS. At the moment, we are looking at a provider that will work in sync with Sport 80. So again, it'll automatically update and the systems will work in sync. For me, we will look at, when we get to that stage, we can look at various offers, and it can be, I wouldn't say there needs to be a set time then. At the moment, because of our current DBS, there is a set time, but looking at the future down the line, you could purchase a coach membership at any stage. You could do your safeguarding. Obviously, at the moment, I would say baseball and softball are very lucky in the fact that you get free safeguarding courses. Not many sports usually have a free safeguarding course. It's usually £40, and we run them at the start of the year. And then, yeah, with the DBS, if that's linked up, for me, there's no reason why a coach couldn't take their membership out at any point of the season, any point of the year, and it can be on rolling. I know for those that are from baseball, we do have an auto renewal. Again, that could be the same. We can look at potential deals where you can take out a year coach membership, or to make, I guess, hopefully make it kind of a bit cheaper if we can look at a kind of a 3-year coach membership, because similar to safeguarding, they usually tend to last 3 years. So we can look at various options down there. At the moment, it will be early, but down the line, there's nothing stopping us to making it kind of as and when you want to become a coach member, and on a 3-year basis potentially.
I would just add, we work on the playing season. So each year you will need a membership to cover the playing season. However, what that will look like, what costs entail, we are trying to get those costs down. As Aled just said, we may be able to offer a multi-year package that will reduce the costs. That's part of this feedback that we have over the next 5 months as we look to launch the full coaching playbook on in June 2025. That's going to do it for this webinar. I just want to thank all of our presenters, Aled, Alice, Mike, and Orla, for their time. And thank you all for joining this session. It's really, really important that we get this feedback from the people that we are here to serve, and that is you. So please do send us feedback. All of our information is on the BSUK, British Softball Federation, and British Baseball Federation website. If you need further information, you can always email info@bsuk.com. I get those messages, so I'm happy to redirect you wherever you need to go. Again, this video will be out on the 20th of January, and we will share it with everybody who would like to have it. But for now, thank you so much for attending. We really appreciate your time on this Wednesday evening. We're really looking forward to bringing you the rest of this playbook, and we hope that you'll join us along the way. So thank you so much for joining us, and have a great rest of your evening. We look forward to seeing you either at Farnham Park or around the country on your local diamond.